Brazil's most famous When you are 3 days out from an opening game at a World Cup, you cannot be vague anymore. Journalists in that room had come prepared. They had watched the training footage, they had done the math on the recovery timeline, and Ancelotti knew they had done the math, so he gave them the straight answer. No qualifications about day-to-day assessments, no we'll see how he feels in the morning. Neymar is out for the Morocco opener, full stop. The reaction inside Brazil's camp is something you can only imagine right now, because the players themselves haven't spoken publicly since the announcement. But think about what this does to a squad that has spent months building its identity around one specific vision, a vision with Neymar at its beating heart. Suddenly, on the eve of the biggest match any of these players will have played in years, the blueprint shifts. The tactical shape that Ancelotti had been refining, the movement patterns, the combinations that were designed to unlock defenses when that number 10 is in the pocket and in form, all of it has to be recalibrated, and it has to be recalibrated right now, with almost no time to spare. This is not a small adjustment. This is not rotating a winger or tweaking a set-piece routine. This is Brazil going into a World Cup opener without Neymar, and the question that is already burning through every football conversation on the planet is a simple one. What does Brazil actually look like without him? And here is the thing that makes this announcement sting just a little bit more than it should. Because if you have been watching Neymar for the last several years, some part of you already knew this was a possibility, maybe even a probability. Not because he lacks talent, not because he lacks desire, but because his body has become one of the most fragile instruments in world football, and the story of that fragility is long, painful, and honestly, a little heartbreaking when you sit down and trace it all the way back. Think about the images that have defined his career alongside the brilliance, the stretcher moments, the slow-motion replays where you watch his ankle fold underneath him and you already know, before the medical team even reaches him, that something serious has just happened. Neymar on a stretcher is not a rare sight. It is, devastatingly, almost a recurring chapter in his story, and each time it happens, the question gets louder. Can this man stay healthy long enough to do what everyone knows he is capable of doing on the biggest stage? The ankle problems in particular have become almost their own separate narrative. He has gone under the knife more than once. The surgical procedures, the recovery timelines, the cautious optimism from medical staff followed by the setbacks that nobody wants to talk about publicly but everyone in football circles whispers about. Ankle surgery recovery is not a simple process. It is not a few weeks of rest and then back to full training. It is months of careful rehabilitation, of rebuilding strength and stability in a joint that has already been compromised, of relearning movement patterns that the body used to perform automatically. And when you are a player whose entire game is built on explosive direction changes, on quick feints, on that low center of gravity that makes him almost impossible to contain in tight spaces, the ankle is not just one body part among many. It is foundational. Everything he does starts there. The Brazil physio treatment room has seen more of Neymar than most training pitches have over the last few years. That is not an exaggeration. The national team's medical staff have built what you might almost call a personalized protocol around him. A specific set of treatments, monitoring systems, load management strategies designed to keep him available for as long as possible during tournament windows. And they work, to a degree. He has gotten through group stages before, he has produced magic in knockout rounds before. But the margins are always tight, and the risk is always present, and sometimes, like now, the body simply says no before the competition even begins. The rehabilitation gym work that goes into preparing Neymar for a major tournament is extraordinary. Hours of targeted exercises, of proprioception drills, of carefully calibrated intensity that tries to build him up without pushing him past the threshold where something gives way again. The sports science behind elite player recovery has advanced enormously in the last decade, and Brazil's setup is among the best in the world. But there are limits to what science can do when the underlying vulnerability has been reinforced by repeated trauma over many years. And this is where the reflection becomes genuinely complicated, because Neymar is not a player who has been reckless with his body in the way that criticism sometimes implies. He has put in the work. He has sat through the long, tedious, unglamorous hours of rehabilitation when the cameras were not rolling. He has pushed through discomfort to get back on the pitch. The problem is not effort or attitude. The problem is accumulated damage and the brutal mathematics of a career that has asked enormous physical things of a frame that was never the most robust to begin with. So, when Ancelotti made that confirmation, when the words became official, the sadness that rippled through Brazilian football was not just about missing one game. It was about recognizing a pattern that has followed this player for a decade, and wondering, with genuine uncertainty, whether this World Cup will finally be the one where the body holds together long enough for the story to end differently. So now you understand the weight of what Brazil is walking into. And if you think Morocco is going to make this easy, you have not been watching these Atlas Lions play football. Because this is not the Morocco that used to show up at World Cups just to make up the numbers. This is a team that went to Qatar in 2022 and tore through some of the best sides on the planet. They knocked out Spain. They knocked out Portugal. They put Belgium to bed early. Genuinely fears. And right now, heading into Saturday, that question does not have a clean answer. The group stage match on paper looks like Brazil should handle it. Brazil, historically, one of the greatest football nations on earth. Morocco, a rising force but still the underdog. But football is not played on paper. It is played on grass, in heat, under pressure, with millions watching. And Morocco have already proven once to the entire world that they do not care what the paper says. Brazil knows this, Ancelotti knows this, and every single player in that dressing room knows that Saturday is not going to be a comfortable afternoon. Not without him. So the question every single Brazil fan is asking right now, who steps up? Because here is the thing about this squad, yes, Neymar is irreplaceable as a personality, as a symbol, as the guy who can conjure something out of absolutely nothing. But Brazil did not walk into this World Cup with a thin roster. Ancelotti has options, real, dangerous, exciting options. And honestly, Some of these players have been waiting their entire careers for exactly this moment. Let us start with the most obvious name, because there is really no way around it. Vinicius Jr. If you have watched him at Real Madrid over the last 3 seasons, you already know what this man is capable of. The dribbling, the acceleration, that low center of gravity that makes defenders look like they are moving through wet concrete, Vinicius is not a replacement for Neymar, he is a different kind of weapon entirely. Where Neymar operates on instinct and flair and improvisation, Vinicius operates on pure, relentless pressure. He runs at you, and he runs at you again, and then he runs at you a third time, and by that point your legs are gone and your confidence is shattered. Against a Morocco defensive line that is disciplined and compact, that kind of direct, explosive attacking threat could be exactly what Brazil needs to break them open. But Vinicius cannot do it alone, and Ancelotti knows that. The real intrigue here is what happens in the spaces around him. Who fills that left channel? Who takes those set pieces? Who carries the creative burden when the game gets tight and Morocco sits deep and Brazil needs a moment of genuine magic? That is where the bench players become absolutely critical, and Brazil's depth in the squad is genuinely something to get excited about. Rodrigo is one name that keeps coming up in training camp conversations. Another Real Madrid product, another player who has performed on the biggest stages under the most intense pressure. He is quieter than Vinicius, more calculated, but that subtlety can be devastating. He finds pockets of space that other players simply do not see. And then there is Rafinha, who has been in the form of his life at club level and has been waiting for a World Cup stage to prove that his best football translates at the international level. He is direct, he is physical, and he has that fearlessness you need when the pressure is at its absolute peak. Watch the warm-up sessions before Saturday's game, because that is where you will get your first real clues about Ancelotti's thinking. The way the substitutes are positioned, the combinations being drilled, the players getting extra touches on the ball, all of it will tell you something about the plan. Brazil's preparation has been meticulous, and Ancelotti is not the kind of manager who panics. He has managed World Cup campaigns before, he has dealt with missing players before, he adjusts, and he adjusts well. And here is something worth holding on to as we head toward Saturday. Brazil's history in this tournament is full of moments where adversity became fuel, where a setback in the camp turned into a rallying point on the pitch. You can already picture it, that iconic yellow jersey, the Seleção lining up against Morocco, the crowd electric, the stakes enormous, and somewhere in that lineup, a player who was not supposed to be the story of this game becomes exactly that. That is what World Cups do. They create heroes in unexpected moments. Neymar's absence is real, and it hurts, and nobody is pretending otherwise. But Brazilian football has never been about one man carrying 11. It has always been about the collective, the energy, the belief that on any given day, in that yellow jersey, something beautiful is possible. Ancelotti has the pieces, the squad has the talent, and Saturday against Morocco is no longer just an opening game. It is now a statement. A chance for someone to step out of Neymar's shadow and into the light completely on their own terms. That opportunity is sitting right there. The only question is, who grabs it? Drop your prediction below. Can Brazil beat Morocco without Neymar? And hit subscribe so you don't miss our live match breakdown on Saturday.